Good afternoon, and welcome to this first webinar presenting the Yconic project. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes before starting our presentations because I do want to give people a chance to join in. Welcome to those of you who are already here, and I will take this chance to just introduce myself. My name is Marilyn Smith. I'm the founder of the Energy Action Project, which is a nonprofit association based in France. And for about the last 10 years, we have been doing a lot of creative communications around topics related to energy and energy poverty and energy justice. And the Yconic project that we're going to talk about today is our first action to really work with students and teachers who are facing some really huge global challenges that are related to energy and the energy transition. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. But what we've done with Yconic is put together a group of international partners to pilot a platform that supports student learning and also boosts teacher confidence across these four global issues. So now that we have more of you here, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and launch the presentation that I want you to see today. So as you can see, we are Yconic, and that means we are a project in which youth are leading a new socially just era. And this reflects that we are enabling youth to do that through information and education and training. And we are looking for teachers like you and schools like you to bring your students on board for the 2025-2026 school year. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that and who our partners are and who we're funded by as we go along. So Yconic is a dynamic wiki-based platform, and it's helping youth, and we're targeting youth ages 12 to 16, to understand and engage with the four big forces that are shaping our future. That, of course, is climate change, the energy transition, digitalisation, and social justice. And we really recognize that these are topics that have kids sometimes worried, sometimes they just don't understand what an energy transition is. Digitalization is invading their lives, but do they really grasp what it means or what its potentials are and what its risks are? And I think youth today are becoming more aware of social justice or of climate justice and all of the other things that fit into social justice. And so we want them to understand how these things fit together. Just a quick word about our name, Yconic. We took a long time trying to figure out a name. And then one of the teachers involved in the development of the platform mentioned that her students often say if something's really cool, they'll say, well, that's iconic. So we switched out the I to a Y to make it about youth and about you, to show that youth and you as an individual can start doing iconic things across these four subject areas. So here's a platform overview. We have under the topics, we have some blogs that have been written by Yconic, so written by experts in these four topics. And each of them includes interactive elements. We've got some videos to watch. We've got some data dives to go into. And what that means is we found some really cool data that kids can look at and think about critically and ask questions around. A really important area of Yconic is these chat rooms or forums, as we might call them, in which we prompt kids with some questions related to the articles to just have some interaction among themselves. But an important part of these chat rooms is that kids can also launch a new discussion room. So it's really an opportunity for kids to talk to each other about these topics and how these topics are relevant to them. In the creative zone, we have put communications training. And as we're going to hear from later from one of our partners, Andrea, we really want to make sure that not only do kids learn about these topics, but they learn about how they can express their own ideas or concerns or desires to do something about these topics. So we're giving them a range of different types of communications training. In the student area, there's a lot of information for students, but this is also where we put this content that is generated by students based on the knowledge they've learned and the communications training that they've been able to participate in. So this is where kids can share with each other videos they've produced, photographs, other blogs that they've written. Already we've had some students do some really great videos and some public events that they have featured. And so there's lots of great content of what students have done already, and we're going to keep featuring that. For teachers, this is a super important part of Yconic because we recognize, and this, comes from data, and also we did some surveys at the very beginning of the project, that for the most part, teachers have little training in how to present these four difficult topics within the classroom setting. And so we are giving teachers some background information. We're helping them with lesson plans that are very structured, but also very flexible. We want teachers to be able to take these topics into a number of different subject areas. We have teachers that are using them in geography, in science, in maths, in language classes, and even in literature classes. So a bit later, you're going to hear from more about the lesson plans and how they can be integrated into a whole bunch of different teaching opportunities. The About section of the platform is simply a description of the project and its partners, and the Help area has content about how to use the platform and also some of the technical aspects of it. So we've really kind of thought this through as to who is going to use the platform, how are those two groups, teachers and students, going to interact, and how can we empower the teachers to empower the students through this learning platform. So why would you join Yconic? Well, for students, it's an opportunity to explore diverse content that makes these topics relevant to your daily life while promoting self-led learning and critical thinking. So the diverse kinds of content that we have include, as I said, blogs, videos. We've got some really great podcasts, data dives, forums, quizzes, and training tools. And these are all very structured to be strategically presented. It is an interactive platform that prompts students to explore the local aspects of global challenges. The content we've created is really looking at the global aspects of these four subject areas, but what we want teachers to do is help their kids say, what is the local story here? And that might be the national story, it might be the local municipal story, or it might even be within the community or the school itself. We also want them, as I said, to build communication skills, and we can see from our pilot project that they have been doing that in super exciting ways. And we want them to engage with their peers around the world, which we know they are doing as well. We had students from Spain this year actually went and spent a couple of days with students from Italy, and that was a really unique opportunity for those kids to talk about these issues across the two different contexts that they live in. And finally, of course, to lead local change. Part of our communications training is about advocacy, and Andrea is going to talk to you more about that in a few minutes. But we do want kids, students to feel like they can lead local change and that they are better equipped to do it thanks to the Yconic project and thanks to their teachers taking them through the Yconic platform. One thing that's really important about the Yconic platform is that we recognize if we're targeting ages 12 to 16, that is two really different groups of students. And so what we've done is create two levels of learning on the platform itself. For every blog that is created by the Yconic team, the first level is the basics. It's 500 words. The sentence structures are quite short and snappy. It's really targeting the 12 to 13-year-old kids, just helping them understand 4 or 5 basic concepts related to whatever the topic. And the example I have here on the screen is climate justice. So we're going to dive into what is climate justice, and this is part of the social justice platform. For the kids who are a little older, aged 14 to 16, we're doing an in-depth version. So we're taking more or less the same topic, the same concepts, but we're diving in a little deeper. We're giving them more detailed information. We're giving them more data that they can think critically about, and challenging them to think more about what this topic means in their local context. And as you can see at the very top of each page, there's this springboard, we call it. We have a lot of fun little things that we call different elements of the site, but the springboard is basically a kind of a table of contents. So very quickly, students can come in and see what this particular subject is about and choose whether they think they want to go into the basics or into the in-depth version right away. So a really important aspect, again, is that we're linking across these topics because they are so interrelated. So in climate change, we're looking at things like the causes and impacts and how to avoid climate change, how to adapt to it, and how to rebound from it. And of course, those three words that I put there are sort of the student level versions of words that we hear much more often, which is to mitigate, mitigation, adaptation, and resilience and related to climate change. So as you can see, we're using simpler language to help young people understand these difficult difficult concepts. The energy transition, of course, is a major, major topic, and there's really three areas that we're looking at in relation to that. You know, obviously we go into more than three areas, but these are the main ones. That energy is the major player in climate change. So we talk about the need to really do a global energy transition. That means creating new energy systems, both in the global north and the global south. But it also means in the south, where the vast majority of people still have very little access to energy, to boost energy access in ways that do not take us down the same path that has happened because of the heavy reliance on fossil fuels in the global north over the last century. Digitalization. Kids are using their phones all the time and a whole bunch of other devices. And we want them to really understand that these are powerful tools to shape society. It's not just your entertainment means, but digitalization is changing how we can avoid, adapt, or rebound from climate change. It's fundamentally changing how energy systems are being developed and how they're being deployed and used on a daily basis. And so there's much more opportunity to be more efficient in addressing climate change and rolling out an energy transition thanks to digitalization. However, students, and particularly the young people, need to learn how to use digital tools wisely. So we have a lot of content related to that. And actually, the very first thing students do when they come onto the platform is they have to go through a lesson that is about how do I use the Yconic platform safely. And we explain to them exactly how we have set up the platform, how as participants in the platform, whenever they interact, whether by in a chat room or if they develop content, they are essentially becoming data subjects. They are putting content onto this platform that we eventually are going to analyze. So we very clearly explain to them what their rights are and who is going to use what kind of data, and how those of us, which is Enact and one of our other partners, Energypedia, who are data controllers, how we protect the privacy of the data subjects as we go ahead and do this analysis, which I'll talk about in a minute more. But we really want kids to understand everywhere you go in the digital world, you are leaving your footprint around, and you can make better choices about how you do that. The social justice topic turned out to be the one that students were by far most interested in during the pilot phase. And so we do content on the basic principles of social justice. What does it mean? What is equality versus equity? How do various international human rights uphold those things? What are the roles of governments once they sign on to an international human right? What are their roles to protect that human right and to and then linked to that, we're also looking at how do we address injustices that have been in place in some instances for centuries, or maybe not so long, but linked to climate change and energy and digitalization. So as you can see, we're taking students across these topics, not just down into them. So why would teachers join Yconic? Well, here we have a suite of tools that builds your knowledge of these complex topics. And we think that's really important to boosting your in-class confidence. And so the things that we have here, background materials, as I mentioned, some flexible lesson plans that one of our partners is going to explain more in a minute. We've suggested a number of in-class activities, but we also recognize that you are best placed to determine what is going to interest your students. And we hope that this opportunity to have peer-to-peer exchange will also let various teachers say how they have used this, the content and activities, and learn from each other and get ideas from each other, not only in your own schools, but across the globe. And we also are going to offer for some professional support through the Yconic team. Just to let you know, we don't expect a massive commitment from teachers. What we would like is that you do about 2 hours of class time per week for a period of a minimum of 4 weeks. And that, we feel, is enough time for you to take one of these subjects and do one of our full lesson plans. We'd like you to do that between October of 2025 and March of next year. But of course, if you do the first lesson plan and you find that Yconic is exciting your students and it's useful for you, then of course we would love you to do more than one lesson plan and explore more than one topic. So I want to tell you a little bit about who developed Yconic and how we went about doing that. So it is a project that is funded by the European Union, particularly through the Erasmus Plus project. It's a 3-year project, and we started in January of 2024. So we spent about 9 months developing the platform, thinking about the content, thinking about the functionalities that I showed you a little bit earlier. And that was done by a team of 5 development partners. So Enact has been primarily involved in developing content and leading the project. The Fondazione AEM is a group from Milan that is the foundation of an energy company based there. They have also been very involved in developing content, particularly in developing the lesson plans. Energypedia is a German-based organization that previously developed what's called Energypedia. It's a wiki platform that encourages international exchange about the clean energy transition. And so we're super lucky to have them on board to develop our wiki platform, because they also bring this extensive knowledge of the energy sector and the energy transition. Engineers Without Borders, and I'm not going to try to say their name in Spanish because I would not do it justice, but they are a nonprofit organization based in Barcelona, and they have been working on energy poverty for a number of years, really focusing on how to empower the people who are experiencing energy poverty or energy security to become their own advocates. And that has resulted in a number of legal changes, and also just a much, much greater awareness among the general public about the impacts of energy poverty and why policymakers do really need to take this seriously. Our 5th partner is FSR Global, which is a regulatory knowledge hub based in Delhi, India. And so they bring the policy perspective into the Yconic project, but also a really extensive network of energy experts that we can tap into for their expertise. So as I said, over the first 9 months, we developed the platform and the content. And during that process, we also had 3 pilot schools on board, schools in Bulgaria, Italy, and Spain. And you can see their logos there. I'm not going to try to say their names because I'll get them all mixed up. But the teachers from these schools have been involved really since day one, helping us think about everything from the name, as I suggested earlier, to how do we help kids learn about these topics. What do kids want? What do kids need? And one of the things that was really clear along the way is that kids are much more interested in visual learning than they are in reading, which is how most of us from my generation learned. So we've really had to think about different ways to do things. And let me just tell you a little bit about the process. So between September of last year and June of this year, these three schools piloted the Yconic platform. So that meant teachers were using the lesson plans, students were jumping on to the platform to learn about the topics, to do the communications training, and to develop their own content. The pilot results showed that we did some focus groups and some surveys, and we're super happy to say that 86% of students scored the platform at 3 or higher on a scale of 0 to 5. So we're super excited about that result, and we know that the platform is even going to be even better by the time we do the rollout in September, because we're making a lot of changes over the summer. So we know that we can keep up that kind of scoring for student satisfaction of Yconic. The other thing that was super important for us is that all teachers responded that they felt more confident, and they also reported really high student engagement in our interviews with teachers. One of the things I said is students did not want to leave at the end of class when the bell rang. And they also heard these students talking about these projects and these topics and what they could do about them in the hallways, or getting together after school to work on their projects. So there was really a buzz generated about these topics through the Yconic platform. So what's next for Yconic? Well, a couple of things. As we're going to talk about more, there's a global rollout starting in September of 2025. We already know we have interest from schools in India, in Germany, in Canada, and we are hoping to just make that many, many, many more countries. One thing to note is that the platform is in English, but we are, because it's a wiki-based platform, students can participate they can opt to use the translation functions, read the content in their own languages, contribute in their own languages, but the functionality of Wiki platform makes it possible to switch from English to whatever language students are most comfortable in. We are also going to promote the content that students have already generated internationally. We know students, some of the age groups we're targeting should not be on social media platforms at the moment, but we know that they are. So we are going to work with them to really draw attention to the fantastic content they've already created. And as new students come on board and generate new content, of course, we're going to keep doing that. One thing that we're doing only during the pilot, so this year and last year during the pilot and also during the rollout, is something called natural language processing. And this is to analyze how students have used the platform and what they're learning from it. So I mentioned earlier we've educated kids about how anytime they contribute to the platform, that is a data contribution that they're making. So anything that is text-based that the kids do on the platform, whether they're doing a quiz or participating in these forums or uploading their own content that they've generated or things that they've written, that is going to get fed into natural language processing, which looks below the surface of human interactions to see what is really going on. What are people talking about? How are they talking to each other? What keywords are emerging from that? And so we're going to do that at the end of the pilot project, and we will be doing an academic paper related to that. We will also be doing a second academic paper related just to how much kids do learn from participating in Yconic. And importantly, we are going to develop a strategy to extend the platform's lifespan beyond the original 3 years for which we have funding from the European Union. So that's kind of it for my introduction to Yconic, and I am now going to let you go on and hear from our other partners. And first of all, I'm going to pass you off to Pia from the Fondazione AEM, and she is going to talk about the lesson plans and what we're offering to teachers.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. So my name is Pia Lovengreen-Alessi, and I am here with the Fondazione AEM, which is a foundation based in Milan, Italy. We have been working on developing didactic material for young students, middle school and high school for quite a while, and are very excited to be engaging in the Yconic because we think that this is a topic that is very relevant, certainly for the Italian kids, but also for kids throughout Europe and also beyond. So very happy to be working and collaborating on this. I have been developing the lesson plan specifically. As Marilyn was showing you, on the platform, there is a section which is for the teacher specifically. And under that section, you will find a subheading called lesson plans. If you hop in there, then you will have access to the 4 forces that Marilyn was talking about, and there will be lesson plans available for all of them. These are rather standardized in their format. For those of you that are used to working with lesson plans, which I think the Anglophone part of the world are quite familiar with. But I know that in Italy, this is a rather new concept. So for those of you that are not so used to it, a lesson plan often starts with an introduction where it talks about, well, indicates that this lesson plan is for a certain age level, it has a certain duration, it has certain learning objectives and preparation requirements. Then it goes on to look at the lesson themes, so outlining what are the themes exactly that we're going to be picking up in this lesson. And then it goes on to outline a lesson task. The lesson task for us is very important because, as you can see here, this lesson that I'm projecting here is about the energy transition. But it's important that we tie the knowledge acquisition about the energy transition into a task that is about communication, because this is where the students will actually have the learning when they're applying the energy transition knowledge to something that they will be communicating about. So the task is very important to us. Then we go on to outline some key terms so that for those teachers that are not very familiar with the key terms regarding the energy transition, they have them there so they can feel secure in what they're engaging in. Then we also have a section that outlines the material that is needing. Then it goes on to basically outline the lessons that we propose to the teachers to go through step by step, even minute by minute, how they should introduce these topics to the students. There are lesson plans on there, and I encourage you to go and have a look at them for yourself. They're rather long, and it doesn't make sense for me to go through the whole lesson plan here because it's basically just a step-by-step approach. But if you could go to the next slide, and then I'd like to say a couple of words about what the objectives with the lesson plan is. So as I already mentioned, the Yconic has a dual goal. It is on the one hand for the students to acquire this new knowledge about these complex global issues that we're facing, and at the same time acquire communication practice so that they can start understanding the complex issues, but also communicate about them with purpose and with clarity. So what does that mean? It means the knowledge acquisition will be done through presenting them to some of the articles that Marilyn was referring to. And there we take what is complex issues and try and make them much more accessible and engaging in the content. And also so that the students start understanding the interconnections between all of these 4 themes. The communication is about giving them the opportunity to integrate communication and advocacy skill building. So as I said, they will be asked to be developing, an opinion piece, some social media content, or crafting a visual story so that they are able to start forming and then expressing their ideas clearly. We also ask them to critically think throughout this engagement and try and understand these complex issues from not only their own perspectives, but also from others' perspectives. So if we're engaging with students from the global north, trying to encourage them to also think about, so how does this work for people living in the global south and vice versa? So what we would like is to foster collaboration and engagement between the kids in the classes, but also beyond the classes. As Marilyn said, we have these tools on the website where we encourage the students to interact between them across classes. And that is one of the things that I actually find the most interesting and fun. For the teachers, we have these adaptable resources that they can then go on and adapt to their national curriculum needs, so they can be reduced in time, extended in time, and they can also try and focus on a particular subject that they're teaching without it having to be too complex for them. What we have or will be having online is our regular lesson plans, that we call them. They span from 4 to 8 classes each lesson. And then we also have what we call mini lesson plans, where we're going to introduce each of the 4 Yconic themes in a 1 class session. So very small and manageable for those that just wants to kind of give it a shot and see how it works for them before they engage in the much longer lesson plans. So that's all from me on lesson plans, and then back to you, Marilyn. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Pia. And now I'm going to give the floor over to Andrea to talk about the communications training aspect for kids.
Okay, well, I'm Andrea. I'm working for Engenharia Sense Fronteras, which is Engineering Without Borders, and we are based in Barcelona. And I've been in charge of the communications training, focusing on advocacy. As Pia was mentioning, for us, well, communication is really important throughout this project. And here's why we think that they need to learn how to communicate. It's not just about talking or writing, it's also about learning how to influence, how to connect with other people or other students and create change, local and also global change. It's also important that they learn how to communicate today's challenges, from climate to inequality. So they would need to learn how to inform and how to move with their words, and learn how to mobilize. And so students need confidence, they need tools, and also opportunities to express their ideas clearly and creatively. So in that sense, we've took kind of a content bank approach, and we've developed a series of short videos. We focused on developing videos because we learned that students prefer to learn visually and in a really short space, in their own self-paced learning. And now these short videos are teaching them how they can properly write, but it's also focused on creative communication, meaning that they can also communicate through photography, through an action, through different activities that can also be means to advocate for change. The short videos can be used across different subjects, and they can also be used for project-based learning. And they encourage hands-on practice and critical thinking. So for now, the videos that we have online, they are about good writing. They are teaching students the 4 C's of good writing, how they can provide a good text, which is clear, concise, compelling, and correct. And there are also 4 short videos that are student-friendly to empower them to advocate for change. This might be quite a new topic for them. So the first video of the series explains what is advocacy and how can young people can also advocate for change. Then the second video teaches them how the power of strategy, how they need to organize their thoughts and use smart objectives in order to get through their goals. And then there's a third video about an advocacy toolbox of different kinds of ideas that they can use in order to communicate. And the last video is about preparing a speech that they can put into practice in class with their peers or in other ways in their life. So what can you do with that videos? You can integrate them in the class projects. Not only they are not only useful for the platform, but they can also use them for other projects. They can also use it for campaigns or for public speaking. The videos are aimed to encourage students to produce their own content to be uploaded to the platform. And at the end, they foster a culture of creative, informed, and ethical communication. And that's all. Marilyn, I give the floor to you.
All right, so I'll let you. So just, Andrea mentioned the communications training, and one thing that has been really, really fun for us through the pilot project is to see how creative students have been in developing content or doing social community activities. And one example is a group of students in Milan shot this beautiful little video about loneliness in different segments of society. And the end message of that is that they need to create more events that are cross-cultural and cross-generational so that no segment of society is lonely on its own. And so people understand each other better and communicate better. The students in Spain organized, their school is in a kind of a low-income neighborhood, and they wanted to do something to build community in their neighborhood. So they actually, with their teachers, organized a community dinner that 200 people participated in. And in Bulgaria, one of the examples was that a group of the middle-aged middle school students did some digging into how can you reduce your own carbon footprint, and specifically, how can you do that by making different choices about what you eat. And then they presented to younger students how, switching from beef to pork or from milk products to nut-based products, how that can reduce your carbon footprint. So in each school, we have many, many examples of how students took what they learned about these 4 topics and applied the communications training and developed their own content and started making change in their own lives or in their communities, or raised awareness of the need to make change. And so, Hector, I'm now going to give the floor to you to talk about the platform itself a little bit and the interactive elements that are so important to the Yconic experience.
All right. Yes, thank you. So yeah, my name is Hector Alfaro, and I work at Energypedia, which is a non-profit organization that hosts a wiki platform called Energypedia as well. And you can think about it as the Wikipedia of renewable energy and energy efficiency in the context of developing countries. And we are using the same technology software for the Yconic wiki. Right. So we were trying to make it that the Yconic platform is not just a wiki where you can create and edit content, but also that it has some interactive features that might help engage the students a little bit more, that hopefully find it a bit more attractive. So there are 3 main parts that that go to that effect. Quizzes at the end of every topic article, so that students can read the whole topic about energy transition, for example, and then they scroll down the page and they will find a quiz at the end of the page where they can simply click on a button. An online form opens up with questions, and then they can answer according to what they learned reading the article, or if they also have previous knowledge. And there's no, well, I mean, sure, there's right and wrong questions, but there's no evaluation going on. The results are going to be displayed only to them, so they will find their answers at the bottom of the topic article, but no one but the user themselves are going to be able to read their results. And well, also the teachers can read this, but that's it. So that you know, this encourages them to basically answer whatever they feel, they think, etc. We also have a second part. We created a forum where students can engage in new conversations. You know, they can create new topics about, you know, if they go to the forum for climate change, then they will talk about climate change or social justice, etc. And they can also answer to existing topics. And since, you know, there are different students from different schools, we still don't know how what is the best way to engage them, because, well, we are assuming everyone speaks great English, but this might not be the case, but maybe yes. I mean, we don't know. And I think it's also exciting for them to engage with in conversations and topics with students from other countries. So, this is just, you know, a little bit of an example of how it looks like at the end of the topic pages, where the quizzes are located. And then this is an example of the forum. So it's quite simple. I mean, there's a button that says add conversation, then someone enters a topic, and people can also reply to that topic. And then we have the Yconicker content, which is also called student content, where it's an area that we developed so that it's easier for students to create their own content. They click a button, an online form opens up. It's always a form where you fill out text fields or drop-down menus, checkboxes, etc. They can add links. They can embed videos from YouTube. They can add pictures, images, and so on and so forth. And this is one part where Marilyn was talking previously about this loneliness in Milan. Someone posted a really nice video about this issue. And yeah, I think it might inspire other students to upload information that they feel is interesting for the rest of their peers. So, you know, there might come other features in the future, but these are to be discussed. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, great. Thanks, Hector. And so I'm going to give the floor back to Pia, who's going to talk a little bit more specifically about how teachers individually or whole schools can become involved in Yconic in the upcoming school year.
Okay, thank you so much, Marilyn. Well, so I think you get the gist of it. We've had a wonderful year this past academic year, where we've engaged with 3 schools in different countries in Europe, and they have helped us test the platform. We have adapted it a lot because we've learned so much from them. And now is the time for us to launch it in a global rollout for 2025-2026. So we are opening the call for schools, and you will be able to join what it is we have all explained to you here. The topics are there, it's very clear to you. The benefits for the students is, you know, this engagement in a learning which is very different. And for the teachers, it's also learning that is different, but where they're really assisted and given the tools that can help them feel confident in teaching students in this much more interactive and fun way. Our participants will be getting certificates of participation, and the commitment is really at the beginning only just 2 hours per week for 4 weeks, somewhere in between October 2025 and March 2026. This is a minimum, and if you like what we've produced and would like to engage much more than this, that is also very welcome. We have now launched the registration online, so it's just a matter of going to our website on the Yconic or on Energypedia, and then you can choose to engage with us, and we will be doing the selection before the rollout kicks off. So we're inviting you all, hope that you love the idea and would like to engage with us, and looking forward to hearing from you. So back to you, Marilyn.
So that pretty much covers what we wanted to present to you today about Yconic and how it is helping students understand and engage with these 4 key forces that are shaping their future: climate change, the energy transition, digitalisation, and social justice, and to help teachers navigate those topics in the classroom in a really meaningful way for their students. We are going to continue with a Q&A for those of you who are online, but at the moment we're going to stop the recording. So I'm just going to put up a screen here, one more slide that shows those of you who are watching this after the live webinar, how you can find out more about Yconic or how you can contact me. And again, my name is Marilyn Smith. I'm the founder of the Energy Action Project, and you will see an email address that you can use there, and you'll also see QR codes for reading more about Yconic, and also if you are ready to start to register as a teacher or a school who wants to engage. This doesn't mean you're making a commitment at this point, but we would like to get some basic information from you, and then we'll contact you to discuss more how you can become part of the Yconic family. All right, so thank you very much for listening, and we hope to see you on Yconic.